Erik, both teams had a couple of guys who really stepped forward. You with obviously Tyler and Bam, then with Şengün and with Van Vliet. But it seemed like the other stuff, sort of in the margins from your other guys, maybe is what carried you through here. Just your thoughts on maybe subtle or not so subtle contributions, but the little things that made a difference.
Once again, I think you were listening to my locker room talk. That's exactly what I said. Obviously, Bam and Tyler led us tonight, but the X factors had major contributions. And Nico, in his minutes, were really good. And I don't know what his stat line was, but he was able to generate a lot of easy opportunities for us in the open court, loosen things up in kind of random situations where he's at his best. And then, K-Love just continues to give us a really important weapon, on both ends of the court. He's so much more comfortable in what we're doing defensively, but offensively, it's a no-brainer, the things that he adds. This team is unique that we played against. They switch a lot, and, K-Love is very crafty. If you try to do that without detail, he can force you into compromising positions. Jay Rich and H, Duncan, all of those guys gave us really, really important minutes, to support Bam and Tyler.
Can you take us through what was going through your mind when Kyle walked off during play, and what's the level of concern right now?
Yeah, the Philly guy in him right now is saying, I'll be all right. But, of course, I was concerned when he's, first of all, it took him a while to get back into the play. He's as tough as you can be in this league. He's played through, more things than probably, anybody currently playing in this association. And then when he basically, ran off the court, I was very concerned. The initial scan is clean. We'll just see how he feels tomorrow.
What was most encouraging about Nico's just activity on the defensive end, just using his size to make an impact?
He's what he needed more than anything, is continued development and playing time. Whether it was here or whether it was in Sioux Falls, he needs the live reps. And then we supplement that with obviously all the film work and the extra drilling and practice work, but it's so much more relevant when you're doing now game scouts and you're dependent on. His improvement is happening quicker. He has positional size. He's very dynamic when you play him with Bam. They were trying to junk up some of the matchups, which they do very well, and put, Tate on Bam, and then Şengün on Nico. Well, Nico's very skilled, and that just gives us a different dynamic if you try to do that kind of thing. And he'll just continue to improve. It's not going to be linear improvement. There'll be some ups and downs, but this playing time that he's gotten in the last several games has been really important. And when we get to practice tomorrow, again, it'll be much more relevant when we're going through the teaching points.
I guess these days it's almost a luxury for any team to have reliable backup center minutes. But what has Kevin's stability night to night meant for you, just in terms of game planning for any opponent, especially when he's going to give you a 5-out look that gives you a lot of downhill movement?
Yeah, he has so much vast experience, not only on this league, but at a super high level of what it takes to win. And I mentioned that when we were on the road trip. I just feel like you need guys like Kevin, veteran guys like that, who have relevant experience. To be able to. You need those kind of guys to compete for championships. He used to be a guy, so at any moment during a game, he can get you 6-8 points in a quarter. 10 points, double digits in a quarter. And then, the way he rebounds is just so unique. And you put him next to Bam in some of those lineups, you feel very stable defensively and on the glass. And he's just able to read, a lot of different coverages, nuances, if teams are doing something unique, like switching, like you saw tonight, he just finds a way to take advantage of that with his IQ and his size and his ability to score. Like, this guy, I think people have forgotten. He used to be a scorer, like a 26, 27-point game scorer. We don't need him to do that night in, night out, but, for short stretches, he's a big-time talent.
Erik, is there a minutes restriction on Haywood, and just your thought on what you saw for him in those little limited minutes?
Yeah, it was good to have him back out there. There's not a restriction out there, but he gives us great versatility, particularly defensively, and we're going to need that, as this week goes on.
You guys had 30 assists tonight. Kyle Lowry only had 1 because, he went out early. I mean, are you just more comfortable kind of just, not any lineup or any players, but you have so many options now from a playmaking standpoint? Are you more comfortable than ever in kind of lineups?
We went to work this morning. We were disappointed on a couple of our games on that road trip, and in particular, offensively, we were not at our best in a couple of those games. And so we needed to clean up the details with our spacing, attacking, and moving the ball. And that was much better, and it was evident right from the get-go. And that just has to be a continued habit. And there was also a good deal of respect for Houston defensively. They can flatten you out, with some of the things that I just mentioned, where they can switch or put different matchups to try to bait you into different things. And I thought we handled that for the most part very well because the ball was moving and the ball was finding the open guy. And you have to be emotionally stable, to be able to handle that and make the right play repeatedly over and over. And we did a better job of that tonight.
Speaking of those assists, Duncan had 7, which is ties his career high. I'm just wondering, how much was he kind of shifting the offense? Because it seemed like they were playing at the level and he was just kind of hitting the roller to Bam over and over. Just how did that open everything up?
Yeah, it always looks a little bit different if you do it with detail, and that's a massive key. Executing with detail, executing with intention. But even if they're jump switching with Duncan or Tyler, it looks different than with other personnel. And he was making the right read. Those handoffs or pick and rolls were not going to be open for the open 3 very often. And sometimes they would be open, to Bam, and sometimes they wouldn't. Houston does it very well, and you have to make the right read. I can't emphasize that enough. Different schemes and different game plans require an IQ that you have to develop and get better as the season goes on, and then you need that emotional stability to make the right play every time. What's the best play for that possession and for the team, over and over and over, regardless of necessarily who's getting the shot. And Duncan did a great job. That loosened things up to be able to get some of those relief points off of his assists where they were overreacting a little bit.
Coach, you mentioned during the road trip that the losses to Utah and the Clippers, you saw how the team bounced back against the Lakers, and you wanted to see the same thing after Phoenix. Kind of harking back to that game, did you see the negatives in that game and sort of get it cleaned up tonight, against Houston?
We just went to work this morning. There's going to be a lot of those opportunities during the season. I do like that about this team, that the approach is always professional and about the right stuff. And now this game is behind us, and we'll have to gear up for an opponent that's going to be that's been playing really well. Obviously, everybody's been paying attention to that. All right, thank you.